The air itself shattered as the blade descended. A lone figure, sprinting for his life, with an entire army hot on his heels. Gang up on him they had, and now he's paying the price. He's got to hide and fast or risk being caught in the crossfire. Erasing his tracks won't be easy, but he's got to try. A cat? What's that got to do with anything? The sound of his own ragged breathing is all he can focus on. Flash. The world around him is a blur. A cat food shop? This is his hiding spot. They've got cat snacks on sale and he's got a sudden urge to stock up. Too expensive for the cats, but he's got a plan. Maybe he should buy up the entire stock? This new cat food is a game changer, but should he take the risk? The reviews are mixed, but he's got to make a decision. 3 out of 5 stars and he's intrigued. Happy customers and he's starting to feel a little more hopeful. But can he really trust the reviews? A bar of cat food and he's torn. He came to the store to buy something for himself, but ended up shopping for the cats instead. His feline friends will love this new treat, and that's all that matters. A cat's life is a simple one, but that's what he loves about it. Hununa, the cat's name, and she's going to love this new food. But what about the others? Will they like it too? The suspense is killing him. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. In a heart-stopping instant, our hero vanishes into thin air, leaving a trail of stunned onlookers. Witnessing the impossible, bystanders are left reeling, their feet rooted to the ground as they struggle to comprehend the unthinkable. The situation is spiraling out of control, catastrophic, game-changing, reality-shattering events are unfolding before our eyes. Time appears to be bending around our hero, allowing him to dodge danger with ease, defying the fundamental laws of physics. Anna's presence lingers, a palpable aura of mystery and awe that refuses to dissipate. Expectations are shattered, reality is rewritten. This is what happens when the impossible becomes possible. We're only scratching the surface of our hero's abilities, and already the world is reeling from the implications. His name is etched into history, a legendary figure with the power to rewrite the rules. Our hero's powers are not just a curiosity. They're a detonator, set to blow the lid off the world's understanding of what's possible. Blink and you'll miss it, but our hero's got a habit of leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. A trail that's only just beginning to unfold. Are you all right? You're not hurt, are you? No, of course not. You're a witness to the impossible. Did you see that? Did you see our hero just disappear into thin air? I know I did, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. The world is about to get a whole lot more interesting, and I'm honored to be your guide through the chaos. We're on the cusp of something big, something that'll shake the very foundations of this world. He's not just a hero. He's a symbol of hope in a world that's rapidly losing its grip on reality. And now, as the stakes grow higher, we're seeing the full extent of his abilities that are rewriting the rules of what's possible. Our hero's got a whole lot more up his sleeve, and I'm not just talking about his powers. I'm talking about the people he's going to impact, the lives he's going to change. Eleceed, the code name for a phenomenon that's about to take the world by storm. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. They told him the crown was a gift. It was actually a death sentence. A storm brewed, its calm before the chaos about to shatter like a dropped glass. The air thickened, heavy with anticipation. The character's questions hung like a guillotine, its blade poised to drop. None of you or I used all of eating. My extra money to buy these for you. Don't leave any food. or you'll face the wrath of the feline overlord, its claws outstretched. The cat's words were a powder keg, and the fuse was getting shorter by the second. The explosion was inevitable, its impact building in the distance. Follow you? The cat's question was a challenge, a test of loyalty and trust, its weight settling heavy on the characters. Where are you going? The cat's question was a siren's call, luring the characters deeper into the heart of madness. MT, the cat's words were a whispered secret, a message from the shadows, its meaning unclear but its impact felt. The cat's presence was a catalyst, a spark that ignited the powder keg and set the world ablaze, its flames burning bright and hot. The abyss was yawning open, a void so deep that it threatened to consume everything in its path, its emptiness echoing like a canyon. The characters were on the brink of a revelation, a moment of truth that would change everything, its impact building like a storm on the horizon. The digital realm erupts in a frenzy of pixels as the air crackles with electric tension. A feline metamorphosis unfolds, and the truth is nothing short of cataclysmic. I'm a cat. Forgotten memories resurface, fragmentary whispers of a life long buried. A hazy recollection of a life before this one begins to coalesce. A slow-burning embers of consciousness. A sizzling spark of insight illuminates the truth. The universe shudders, a cosmic tremor that reshapes reality. Time itself contorts, twisting into a Mobius strip as the protagonist's memories begin to unravel. In a desperate bid to escape the abyss, the protagonist's mind lurches into a final, frantic bid for freedom. A desperate click, a final attempt to break free from the prison of their mind. The sound of shattering chains echoes through the void. Relieved, the protagonist's eyes snap open, a surge of adrenaline coursing through their veins like liquid fire. I'm relieved. I was worried. You were covered in sibilant whispers, a jumbled mess of emotion, tumble forth from the protagonist's lips like a torrent of autumn leaves. Kitty. The silence is oppressive, a heavy weight that presses down upon the protagonist's shoulders, like an anvil crushing the life from their chest. Ho, wait here. A voice calls out, a cry that echoes through the desolate landscape like a beacon of hope.
Why were you passed out there? You didn't look wounded or anything. I figured you would have had wounds since you were...
Wounds somewhere else on your body? This one's worried, but hungry. Eat it. It'll help you heal faster. It's lactose-free milk for cats, a nourishing elixir in a world gone mad. The protagonist's eyes snap towards the proffered milk, a look of desperation etched upon their face, like a shipwrecked sailor clinging to a life raft. The air was thick with hostility, as two worlds careened into a maelstrom of animosity, the tension crackling like a live wire. A single word hung in the air, a spark that could ignite a firestorm, its potential for destruction hanging precariously in the balance. The words dripped with malevolence. Consume, assimilate, become one with the void. The silence was a physical weight, a crushing force that suffocated the spirit, its oppressive presence making it hard to breathe.
The voice laughed, a cold, mirthless sound that sent shivers down the spine, its cruelty a visceral punch to the gut. For a moment, a fleeting glimmer of doubt flickered in the darkness, a spark of uncertainty that threatened to consume all. A whispered warning, a message from the shadows, its urgency a call to action that left no room for hesitation. This one was a cat, a creature of stealth and cunning, always on the prowl, its eyes fixed on the prey with a calculating gaze.
The world was a war-torn landscape, a battlefield where only the strongest survived, its ruins a testament to the devastating power of conflict. A burst of energy exploded through the air, a sudden violent movement that left all reeling in its wake. Let's see how you react, little one. Let's see how you handle the heat. The challenge a gauntlet thrown down in a dare. Or perhaps you're a girl, a fragile flower that needed protection. The thought a cruel mockery that cut deep. You idiot, can't you see I'm trying to help? The frustration a living, breathing thing that threatened to consume all. The air was electric with tension, a living, breathing entity that crackled with energy, its power a force to be reckoned with.
A whispered plea, a desperate cry for help. Its urgency a call to action that left no room for hesitation. The world was spinning, a mad whirlwind of chaos and destruction, its very foundations shaken to the core.
A deep, rumbling voice, a sound that made the very earth tremble, its power a force to be reckoned with. Did I just imagine that? Was it just a trick of the mind? The question a desperate cry for clarity in a world gone mad. The voice roared, a deafening sound that shook the foundations of reality, its fury a force to be reckoned with. The world was on the brink of collapse, a shattered remains of a once great civilization, its ruins a testament to the devastating power of conflict. Jaiwa's world implodes, reduced to a cacophony of terror as a talking cat assaults his senses with ear-splitting meows. Jaiwa's response is a dull thud, a gutless surrender to the cat's unrelenting taunts. The cat's claws snap with deadly precision, sharpened to pulverize any resistance like a jackhammer. Jaiwa's patience frays like a threadbare rope as he growls, "Shut up, cat!" But the cat won't budge. The cat's silence is a steel vice, crushing Jaiwa's every scream like a hydraulic press. The cat's dominance decimates Jaiwa's resolve like a wrecking ball, leaving him a shattered shell. Jaiwa's temper seethes like a cauldron about to boil over, as the air thickens with anticipation. A single word from Jaiwu, and the cat's response will unleash a maelstrom of fury like a hurricane. Jaiwa's query hangs like a guillotine over the cat's head. "What's your name, you infuriating feline?" Jaiwa's patience hangs by a thread as thin as a knife's edge, waiting to slice through the cat's defenses. Jaiwu explodes in a fit of rage, unleashing a torrent of fury that shatters the air like a bomb. The cat's nonchalance is a thoughtless rock, completely disregarding Jaiwa's rage like a sledgehammer. Jaiwa's temper is a raging inferno, fueled by the cat's silence like a fire hose. The cat's silence emboldens Jaiwu, and the air electrifies with anticipation like a live wire. Jaiwa's patience shatters like glass, leaving a trail of shattered resolve in its wake. The cat's silence is a challenge that Jaiwu cannot ignore, a gauntlet thrown at his feet like a dare. Jaiwa's frustration reaches boiling point, and he growls, "I don't like having to ask questions twice, you infuriating cat." The cat's name is Jaiwu Seo, and the cat's silence is a surge of electricity that fuels Jaiwa's rage like a dynamo. Jaiwa's warning is a thin line, waiting to slice through the cat's defenses like a hot knife. Jaiwa's temper is a roaring inferno, fueled by the cat's silence like a firestorm. Jaiwa's patience is pulverized, and the cat's silence is the final nail in the coffin. Jaiwa's weight crashes down like a sledgehammer, a symbol of his surrender to rage. 000900, a code as enigmatic as the cat's silence, a mystery waiting to be unlocked like a puzzle. Jaiwa's frustration reaches absolute zero, and the cat's silence is the last straw that breaks the camel's back. The air is thick with anticipation as Jaiwa's rage seethes like a cauldron about to boil over. A single word detonated in the air, a ticking time bomb of consequences. The air congealed with tension as he unleashed the command, his voice a steel blade slicing through the silence. Power dynamics twisted and turned, a macabre waltz of control and submission.
A whispered threat seared the skin, its venom coursing through the veins like icy water. Death was a mere whisper away. His eyes blazed with an inner fire, a furnace of fury that scorched all in its path.
Oblivion loomed, a specter of nothingness that breathed its cold breath down their necks. The oppressive silence was a weight that crushed all in its path, a physical force that suffocated the air from their lungs. The abyss of his wrath yawned open, a chasm of unspeakable horrors that devoured all in its path. His voice was a cold, calculated thing, a surgical strike that cut through the noise and left only one thing clear: his unyielding grip.
The whispered question was a spark that ignited a maelstrom of chaos, a wildfire that raged out of control. The code name echoed through the void, a chilling reminder of the stakes. A single misstep, a fatal error. The whispered assessment was a masterclass in understatement, a delicate dance of words that belied the true horror. The darkness coalesced, taking on a life of its own, a living, breathing entity that seemed to pulse with malevolent intent.
The whispered description sent shivers down the spine. This was no ordinary creature, a monster forged in the depths of madness. Fat, plump, and seemingly innocuous, a deadly trap, a poisonous snake in disguise. I'm a cat, a creature so debased, I've lost the will to change. My existence is a desperate plea. I'm trapped in this wretched form, unable to transform. The weight of my shame crushes me. Don't die. Frenzied whispers erupt around me as Caden's voice slices through the darkness like a razor. Caden's grip convulses my frail body, each jerk a brutal reminder of my helplessness. The iron vice of Caden's hand tightens, suffocating my struggling form. Stop! My desperate plea hangs in the air, met with an unyielding silence that's as deafening as a scream. I was never dead. Now put me down. I'm passed out, grateful you're still standing. Careful, it's me who's been out cold. What's got you looking so surprised? Nung? Caden's gaze narrows, a piercing intensity that's as sharp as a blade. My words hang in the air, a challenge to Caden's sanity that's as clear as a scream. Caden's response is a low, rumbling growl that makes my skin crawl. Strange kid. Caden's gaze lingers, a searching intensity that makes me squirm like a worm on a hook. The air is heavy with unspoken words, a tension that's as volatile as a bomb waiting to detonate. This stupid body. Why did I change into a fat, stupid cat? Darn. Caden. Call me Caden. Not Mr. Caden, sir. Yes, Caden. I have a question. How can you speak like a human when you're a cat? That's a pretty basic question, don't you think? Caden's smile is a thin, cruel line that makes my blood run cold. I can speak, because, as you said, I'm human. Stupid question. H, you're a human? I look like this now, but I'm not a cat. I'm a human like you. Yes, but only temporarily. A crown, a gift, or a death sentence. The line between benevolence and malevolence blurs like a toxic mist, poisoning everything in its path. Caden's gaze locks onto Anna's, a piercing stare that shatters the air with its unyielding ferocity, leaving us all gasping for breath. Caden's voice drips with calculated indifference, a masterful nonchalance that conceals a labyrinth of secrets, each one more treacherous than the last. But then, the impossible happens. Caden's body contorts, his limbs twisting like a cat's, as he crashes to the ground, his eyes frozen in shock. A whispered warning echoes through the silence, a gentle reminder that Anna's true intentions remain as elusive as the wind. The ground trembles beneath our feet as Caden's world shatters, the fragments of his reality scattering like autumn leaves. The air is heavy with the weight of fate and fortune, as Caden's collision course with destiny hurtles him toward a dance of unrelenting chaos. Anna's presence teeters on the precipice of revelation, an awkward yet tantalizing moment that threatens to upend everything we thought we knew. A whispered warning echoes through the void, a gentle reminder that Anna's true intentions remain as elusive as the cosmos itself. The ground shudders beneath our feet as Caden's transformation accelerates, his body contorting like a cat's as he struggles to maintain his grip on reality. Caden's eyes lock onto Anna's, a primal urge burning within him as he's forced to confront the abyss of his own powerlessness. The air is thick with the stench of blood and sweat as Caden's transformation defies all reason, leaving us reeling in its wake. Lick, a gentle caress that belies the ferocity that lies within, as Caden's primal urge takes hold, threatening to consume him whole. Chomp chomp, a primal urge that's as much a part of him as his own heartbeat, as Caden's transformation accelerates, his body contorting like a cat's. The silence is oppressive, a palpable force that presses down upon us as Caden's world dissolves into chaos. A flavor so divine it defies explanation wafts through the air, a siren's call that beckons Caden toward the unknown. Eat, a command that's as much a reflection of his own vulnerability as it is a necessity, as Caden's primal urge takes hold, threatening to consume him whole. A flavor so divine it defies explanation wafts through the air, a siren's call that beckons Caden toward the unknown.
The great Caden, forced to confront the abyss of his own powerlessness, is a shadow of his former self. Why is it so?
Caden's grip on reality falters, a threadbare rope straining to hold back the abyss. His mind reels, a maelstrom of chaos. Darnlet's defiance sears itself into his psyche, a branding iron of inadequacy. The aftermath of a botched meal ravages Caden's stomach, a cruel mockery of his fragile physiology. No, it wasn't him. The cat food had pushed itself down, a malevolent force beyond his control. Fate's cruel hand had struck. Desperation yawns open, a chasm of helplessness in the face of unrelenting hunger. Caden's body screams for sustenance, a primal cry. Gur. L'Ancelsior's existence hangs in the balance, a single misstep a death sentence. The stakes are absolute, a razor's edge. The war for survival rages on, with Caden as the unwitting pawn. He's trapped in a game he can't control. To step out for a minute, Mr. Caden.
Animal hospital? How quaint. How utterly human. Caden's instincts scream at him to flee. His instincts howl, a primal warning to escape the trap being set. But it's too late. The cat food conundrum reaches critical mass, a ticking time bomb.
Would you like to come with me? The question hangs in the air, a challenge to Caden's very sanity. The words are a mere formality, a charade of consent. Caden's mind reels, a maelstrom of confusion. I'll no be like that. Come along, little cat.
Why's this idiot persuading me not to trust him? The disconnect is jarring, a discordant note. With you. To monitor you, since I can't trust you alone. The words are a cold, calculating statement.
The game is afoot with Caden as the unwitting participant. He's trapped in a web of deceit. Picked up by the very person he's trying to escape. Caden's dignity is crushed. I don't want to be carried. The indignity is too much to bear. Caden's pride is wounded. How dare you treat me like a cat? Hiss dash. The great Caden will not go about like this. The pompousness is a shield. The cat food conundrum has reached its denouement, a tragic conclusion. You what? The words are a mere formality, a surrender to fate. Caden's mind reels, a maelstrom of confusion. BLT, the sound of a trap being sprung. Caden's world is turned upside down. It's not too bad. In a flash of chaos, Caden, the notorious alley cat, bursts into Animal Hospital-0000, sending shockwaves through the corridors. This is the place where the city's most desperate creatures come to escape the streets and their darkest secrets. To get some cat food. And here, I've never seen him before. What's his name? Caden's fancy name for a cat that looks like a mangy alley rat sparks Lumid's curiosity. Caden. Lumid's eyes narrow, intrigued by the cat's audacity. That's a pretty fancy name for a cat that looks like... Lumid's gaze lingers on Caden, his mind racing with possibilities. The air is electric with tension as Lumid examines Caden, his fingers probing the cat's wounds. Caden's eyes glint with defiance, but Lumid's not buying it.
The moment of truth has arrived. Caden's got a secret, and Lumid's about to uncover it. Lumid's fingers brush against something, a hidden wound, a secret message. The truth hits Lumid like a ton of bricks. Caden's not just any ordinary cat.
Opens a small, hidden compartment in Caden's collar. This is shameful. Lumid's eyes widen as he realizes the extent of Caden's deception. Yeah, there was a reason Caden was brought to the hospital, but it wasn't just for a few scratches. His fur when I found him. Lumid's voice trails off as he realizes the truth. That's fortunate, but I think he just needs to go on a diet. Haha. Lumid's wicked sense of humor catches Caden off guard. What does Asini fortunate? More than anything, I think he just needs to learn to tell the truth. Haha. Lumid's joke falls flat. No, I'm really going to murder this man. Well, that's a relief. TSK. Relief? Duvuo, Lumid's skepticism is palpable. Ha! Caden's triumphant smile is short-lived. Lumid's gaze lingers on Caden, his mind racing with possibilities. Hey! A low growl rumbles through the air as Caden's eyes lock onto Lumid's. Is there a monster cat in the neighborhood? Monster cat? What are you talking about? Lumid's words are laced with a hint of trepidation, and a low, menacing growl that sends shivers down Lumid's spine. Reality shudders, its very fabric on the verge of detonation. The air crackles with anticipation, a live wire waiting to unleash its fury. Brian's legs are rooted, frozen in a silent scream as his every fiber screams for escape. A blood-chilling scream shatters the silence, a haunting reminder that survival is a luxury few can afford. Anna's voice trembles as she whispers, "Is that the monster cat? It looks more like a tiger." The air electrifies, charged with an intensity that makes my skin crawl. It's like a live wire waiting to unleash its fury. The cat's eyes flash with an inner light, a burning intensity that seems to scorch the very air around us. You're quicker than I thought. I didn't think you'd know what to do still. We're running out of time. They'll catch us soon. The cat's eyes lock onto its prey, a cold, calculating gaze that leaves no room for doubt. Its presence is a harbinger of doom. The cat launches itself into the air, a fluid, deadly motion that defies the laws of physics. Impact rocks the ground, a shockwave that shakes the very foundations of reality. The cat's claws rake across my arm, a searing pain that threatens to reduce me to a mere husk. The world around me blurs into a kaleidoscope of color and sound, a maelstrom that threatens to overwhelm my senses. The cat's eyes flash with a fierce inner light, a burning intensity that seems to scorch the very air around me. You all right? The cat's voice is a low, rumbling growl, a menacing presence that threatens to strike at any moment. Yes, it's just my jacket. What do we do now? We need a weapon or something. The air electrifies, charged with an intensity that makes my skin crawl. The cat's eyes flash with a fierce inner light, a burning intensity that seems to scorch the very air around us. The world around me blurs into a kaleidoscope of color and sound, a maelstrom that threatens to overwhelm my senses. Reality shudders, its very fabric on the verge of detonation. The air crackles with anticipation, a live wire waiting to unleash its fury. The cat's eyes seem to flash with a fierce inner light, a burning intensity that seems to scorch the very air around us. The world around me disintegrates into chaos, a cacophony of sound and fury that threatens to consume me whole. The cat's claws flash through the air, a deadly whiplash motion that strikes with deadly precision. Are you crazy? What are you going to do with that? Tension detonates. This is it, the moment of truth. The only thing he holds is his will to survive. A whirling dervish of steel, a blur of motion, he's getting closer. The outcome is uncertain. A scream of exhilaration, the rush of adrenaline. Near me, whoosh, 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 the battle rages on. The air is electric, a spark of life. What's happening here? The countdown begins. The anticipation is palpable. The moment of truth draws near. The sound of scorching metal, a hiss, a tap, the clash of titans, the fight for supremacy. The outcome hangs in the balance. A delicate dance. Will he prevail or fall? A burst of energy, a surge, a leap into the unknown, dune jump. The stakes are higher than ever. And now the question remains, will he rise to the challenge or succumb to the abyss? The world's greatest fighters handed Caden the keys to the kingdom. They avoid fights with him, whispers spreading fast. Caden is better than even the strongest awakened ones. Legendary warriors, once unbreakable, now tremble at the mere mention of his name, their very foundations shaking. His rise to dominance has been swift and merciless, a juggernaut that crushes all in its path, leaving a trail of devastation and despair. They're calling him the Great Caden, the one who will lead them to victory and rule the world alongside him. Their voices a cacophony of hope and expectation. Come to us, Caden. Together, we can rule the world, and our names will be etched in history forever. The warriors' voices swelled, their chanting growing louder and more insistent. A cold wind swept through the streets, carrying the whispers of the world's greatest fighters. Caden, come to us. Their voices a haunting melody that echoed through the desolate landscape. Caden, Great Caden. The warriors' voices grew quieter, their chanting replaced by an unsettling silence, a stillness that was more unnerving than any scream. The world held its breath as Caden took a step forward, his footfall echoing through the empty streets, a solitary beat that marked the beginning of a new era. The air was electric with tension as Caden's eyes locked onto the warriors, his gaze piercing the distance, a laser-like focus that cut through the chaos. The world's greatest fighters were calling out to Caden, their voices a cacophony of noise and desperation, a primal scream that shook the very foundations of the world. Srat. The sound was like a crack of thunder, shattering the air and leaving Caden standing alone, his eyes blazing with a fierce inner light, a beacon of hope in a world gone mad. The air crackles with electricity, and his senses go into overdrive as a predator's instincts kick in. A whispered warning sends shivers down his spine, and he's bracing for impact as ion charges build up, electrifying the atmosphere. Time freezes as he hurtles through the air, his stomach lurching into his throat, and adrenaline courses through his veins. A jagged scream tears from his throat, hoarse and ragged, echoing through the void as despair washes over him. A growl builds in his throat, and primal urges take over, numbing his senses and sending him into a state of raw panic. Memories come flooding back, and a scar is revealed, a painful reminder of his past, festering and vulnerable. A muffled growl rumbles beneath his surface, and he's trying to contain the beast unleashed as the transformation begins. A spittle-filled snarl splits his lips, and he's on the brink of explosion, with the world at his mercy.
A cacophony of screams pierces the air, and the world becomes a living hell, with pain excruciating and torment relentless. A deafening crash shatters the earth, and the impact is catastrophic, with consequences dire and irreparable. A glimmer of hope flickers, and a chance to recover emerges, with a sliver of light piercing the darkness. Tap. The system's still online. But for how long? Don't get caught in the crossfire. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes.
Memories come flooding back, and a scar is revealed, a painful reminder of his past, festering and vulnerable. A jolt of electricity sparks recognition, and his eyes widen in shock as a spark of familiarity ignites. A spittle-filled snarl splits his lips, and he's on the brink of explosion, with the world at his mercy. The world spins out of control, and he's lost in a whirlpool of chaos, with no rules to govern him. A deafening crash shatters the earth, and the impact is catastrophic, with consequences dire and irreparable. The destruction's almost complete, and he's lost everything, with the world in ruins and devastation absolute.
Tap. The system's still online. But for how long? Don't get caught in the crossfire. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife.
A flash of lightning illuminates the scene, casting a fiery glow on the chaos and destruction that ravages the landscape. The very fabric of reality seems to be torn apart as psychic powers clash in a spectacle of raw energy, the universe trembling in the face of unbridled chaos. The agony of his own constraints is palpable, the screams of his own frustration echoing through the void. The thrill of the fight is addictive, and our hero is hooked, his senses alive with the rush of adrenaline. The very essence of his being is a manifestation of raw power, waiting to be unleashed, a dormant volcano ready to erupt. The landscape itself is reshaped by his unyielding will, as mountains are reduced to dust and rubble, the very earth trembling in response. The echoes of his past failures are drowned out by the roar of his own ambitions, a distant memory fading into the background. The battle-scarred landscape is a testament to his unyielding resolve, a topography of triumph and defeat that echoes through eternity. The anticipation is palpable as our hero readies himself for the next battle, a moment of truth waiting to be revealed. The stage is set, the players are ready, and the battle for supremacy is about to begin, a moment of truth waiting to be revealed. The crown's supposed to be a gift, but it's actually a death sentence. Iam's chest heaves with each ragged breath, yet he refuses to yield. The creature's confirmed. A gargantuan feline beast with eyes like lanterns in the dark. Anna and Iam are in perfect sync, a dynamic duo hellbent on survival. Iam's eyes blaze with fury as the cat's razor-sharp claws flash in the moonlight. Electric tension crackles through the air as the cat zeroes in on its prey. Can they catch their breath? No time to pause. They must keep moving or become the cat's next meal. Iam's heart still racing, he knows they're not out of the woods yet. The cat's relentless pursuit sends shivers down his spine. As night descends, the shadows work in the cat's favor, transforming the hunt into a deadly game of cat and mouse. When the cat finds its next victim, it will unleash a maelstrom of fury, its claws slicing through the air like a hot knife through butter. What's the plan? They're winging it, but they need a solid strategy to stay one step ahead of the cat. Panic's setting in, but Iam knows they can't afford to lose their cool. They need to stay focused if they want to survive. They're forced to keep their feet moving, knowing the cat can strike with deadly precision at any moment. People's lives are on the line. They can't just stand by and watch this cat wreak havoc on innocent lives. Iam grabs his phone, hoping for a miracle, a lifeline that can save them from the jaws of death. It's a long shot, but it's worth a try. He's got a plan to take down the cat, and it's going to be a wild ride. Iam's ready to face the challenge, no more hiding. He's going to take the cat down, no matter what it takes. What's the point of hiding? It's time to take a stand, to fight for their lives against this monstrous cat. He's not going to let the cat get the best of him. He's going to take it down, no matter what it takes, and emerge victorious. The cat's getting closer, and Iam's not giving up. This is the moment of truth, the final showdown between man and beast. Mr. Caden's got a few choice words for the cat. Too pessimistic to be a cat? Ha! The cat's not impressed, but Iam's not backing down. The cat's not giving up, and neither is Iam. This battle's far from over. The fight for survival has only just begun. The young man's words detonate like a frag grenade, shattering the calm that had settled over the streets like a velvet-draped guillotine. You're spewing a verbal maelstrom, a cacophony of confusion that's more likely to bewilder than convince. Sigh. None of your business. Sigh. None of your concern. His gaze is a cold, hard slap in the face, a brutal reminder that some truths are better left unspoken. He's not just talking, he's making a declaration of war against the status quo, a clarion call to arms that echoes through the ages. He's a ticking time bomb, ready to unleash a maelstrom of chaos and destruction on the world, a powder keg waiting to be ignited. They're just pawns in a much larger game, a game of cat and mouse where the stakes are life and death, a high-stakes poker game where the players are willing to bet everything. No, if survive this kid is
something about the cat, a whispered secret, a cryptic message that only a select few can decipher, a code that's hidden in plain sight. 0077.
Can't just leave him like that. The young man's words are a poignant reminder that some things can never be forgotten. Some wounds can never be healed. A scar that will never fully close. Why? A single solitary letter, a key that unlocks the door to a world of possibilities, a doorway to a new reality. The air is thick with tension, a sense of anticipation that's both exhilarating and terrifying, a countdown to disaster that's ticking away. Okay, since you're so willing, the world holds its breath as the young man's words hang in the air, a challenge to the very fabric of reality, a gauntlet thrown down to the gods. Tlktvival, a cryptic message, a code that only a select few can decipher, a secret that's hidden in plain sight, a whispered secret. The kid's been hiding a secret, a fraction of his power, unleashed in battle, sends shockwaves through the air. The cat's instincts scream warning, but the kid's grip on its ferocity is a vice-like hold, crushing its wildness with ease. The kid's borrowed time is running out, a ticking clock that's about to shatter the fragile balance. A low growl rumbles through the air as the cat seethes, but the kid's warning is a cold, calculated whisper. Time's almost up. The kid's words are a whispered promise. Lower yourself to my level, swift, silent, and merciless. The cat takes the bait, its eyes locked on the kid's, and that's when the kid unleashes the chaos, a maelstrom of energy that's about to consume everything. The kid's fingers tap against the air, and that's when it happens, a subtle hum, a gentle buzz that's building in power, waiting to be unleashed. The kid's senses come alive, and he's attuned to the energy, a soft, pulsing beat that's growing stronger by the second. A burst of energy strikes the cat, and it crashes to the ground, its body trembling with the force of the blow. The kid's powers have reached a critical mass, and the results are catastrophic, a maelstrom of energy that's about to level everything in its path. The air is electric, and the kid's getting ready to unleash the full fury of his powers. A maelstrom of energy that's about to shatter everything in its path. The kid's in control, and he's not letting go. Absolute domination is the order of the day, and the cat's about to find out what that means. The kid's powers are electric, and they're growing stronger by the second. A never-ending barrage of energy that's about to consume everything. You think you'll need to go look? Think again. It's already here, and it's not going away. A maelstrom of energy that's about to consume everything. Caden's world erupts into chaos as he takes a drastic step back, bellowing LTI. SSSNMA's menacing his slices through the air, sending a shiver down the spine like a cold wind on a winter night. The air's charged with tension as Caden's words hang in the air like a challenge, leaving the viewer wondering what's coming next. Fear's supposed to grip Caden's heart, but the kid's confidence is a force to be reckoned with, a wildfire that's impossible to contain. A flashback reveals a softer Caden, one who came to the present from a distant past, a mysterious figure shrouded in mystery like a ghostly apparition. The cat's first line is a jab, a low blow that hits Caden right where it hurts like a punch to the gut. The sound of cracking ice echoes through the air as SSSSSNMA's power surges to a new level, like a tidal wave crashing against the shore. SSSSSNMA unleashes a flurry of attacks, but Caden's not having it, countering with a series of pinpoint strikes that leave the cat reeling, like a boxer dodging punches in a ring. Caden's on fire, his movements a blur as he dances around the cat's attacks, leaving SSSSSNMA to seethe in frustration, like a cornered animal. The cat speeds a force to be reckoned with, but Caden's anticipation is the key to his success, like a conductor leading an orchestra. The cat's power surging, but Caden's not backing down, his determination a force to be reckoned with, like a mountain unshaken by a storm. The sound of cracking ice echoes through the air as SSSSNMA's power reaches new heights, like a volcano erupting in a fiery blaze. What's going on here? The cat speed's a mystery, but Caden's got the goods to keep up, like a master puzzle solver. Caden's got the upper hand, his confidence surging as he lands a series of crushing blows, like a hammer pounding a nail into place. The cat's speed's a mystery, but Caden's got the goods to keep up, like a master puzzle solver. SSSSNMA's power surging, but Caden's not having it, countering with a series of pinpoint strikes that leave the cat reeling, like a juggler expertly juggling balls. And here's the million-dollar question. Caden's aura falters, but he dodges the cat with a fluidity that belies his waning energy. The cat's claws swipe wildly, but Caden's movements are a blur, leaving the cat's attacks to falter like a failing heartbeat. SSSSSPPPPPT. The air erupts as Caden unleashes a whirlwind of punches that scorch the air with their ferocity. Caden's voice, unwavering and determined, thunders through the air. I can fight the cat. This is no ordinary feline. As the cat charges, Caden's eyes lock onto the abyss, and his resolve strengthens, like steel tempered in the fire of adversity. For an instant, Caden's focus wavers, and the cat seizes the opportunity, landing a solid hit that sends shockwaves through Caden's body. Now's the moment. Caden's power surges through his veins like a tidal wave, and he unleashes a devastating counterattack that shatters the cat's defenses. Swoop! The cat is blown back, and Caden seizes the opening, his movements a blur of speed and precision. This is no ordinary battle. The very fabric of reality seems to bend and warp around the two combatants, like a canvas torn apart by a maelstrom of color and light. That movement, flick, the cat's momentum is shattered, its trajectory altered in an instant, like a stone skipping across the surface of a still pond. The cat's futile attempts to land a hit are a testament to Caden's absolute dominance, a reminder that he is the master of this battlefield. Caden's aura is a swirling vortex, a maelstrom of energy that threatens to consume everything in its path, like a tornado ripping through a small town. PZZZZTT. The air is filled with the sound of Caden's movements, a blur of motion that defies the senses, like a whirlwind that leaves everything in its wake. Caden's determination is a fire that burns brighter with every passing moment, a flame that fuels his every move, every strike. Koi. The cat's surrender is a stark reminder of Caden's unyielding resolve, a testament to his unwavering commitment to victory. This is it, the moment of truth. Caden's power is about to be unleashed in a catastrophic display of force, like a volcano erupting in a burst of fire and ash. He breathed. The world died. Everything he ever knew was replaced by a cold, biting silence. The opponent's attack detonated in midair, a maelstrom of energy that scattered the very fabric of reality. Thud. The impact resonates like a drumbeat in the chambers of his heart. In the aftermath, an unsettling stillness pervades the landscape, like an abyss waiting to consume him whole. Huff, the sound of labored breathing, a stark reminder that even in the depths of despair, life clings to existence. You were so confident during the fight, was it because of your power or was it something more? A mocking laugh erupts from the depths of his soul, a derisive snort at the futility of his own fears. He's not dead, is he? He's just knocked out. A morbid hope that fuels the fires of his determination. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. They said the sample was a gift. It was actually a ticking time bomb. Anna's voice crackled over the comms system. Brian, I saw the tracker flash in this exact location about an hour ago.
Brian's determination was palpable. I'm not leaving without that sample. It's the only way to unlock the secrets of this mysterious entity. The floor beneath his feet began to shudder, a hairline fracture spreading like a dark stain.
Time was running out. The lab was a powder keg, waiting for the spark that would set it ablaze. Brian's hands moved with precision, sealing off the area with a makeshift barricade. The air was thick with tension as he struggled to contain the damage. Adrenaline surged through his veins like a freight train, propelling him forward with a fierce determination. Anna, where are you? Come back to me now. His voice was a desperate cry, echoing off the walls of the lab. He forced himself to move, his legs trembling beneath him as he navigated the treacherous terrain. His heart was racing, a madman's tempo pounding in his chest like a jackhammer. The sample was his obsession, his every waking moment consumed by the quest to possess it. The thought of losing it was a roar of fury in his mind, a primal scream that threatened to consume him whole. He stumbled, his foot catching on a loose wire. The lab's darkness seemed to close in around him, a suffocating shroud. Anna's body lay motionless, a minor setback in the grand scheme of things. Brian's eyes narrowed, his mind racing with possibilities. He waited, his eyes fixed on Anna's still form. The silence was oppressive, a heavy weight that pressed down on his shoulders. No. This couldn't be happening. If Anna wasn't fine, there was nothing he could do. The thought was a cold comfort, a bleak reality that weighed heavily on his mind. He was trapped in an abyss of uncertainty, a never-ending nightmare from which he couldn't awaken. But they couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Brian's face was a mask of calm, but his eyes betrayed his true emotions. He was on edge, his nerves stretched to the breaking point. If Anna wasn't okay, he was the one who'd have to face the music. A cat's transformation was a symptom of something much bigger, a harbinger of a catastrophe that threatened to consume them all. Anna's body had grown, her limbs twisting and contorting in ways that defied nature. Brian's eyes widened in horror as he realized the true extent of her transformation. Even a normal cat couldn't have pulled off that acrobatic feat. The athleticism is being pushed to its limits, straining the very fabric of reality. The ground beneath your feet is crumbling, as if the very foundations of the world are being torn asunder. The words are on the cusp of being spoken, the secret about to be unleashed upon the world. What's gotten into him? The revelation is sending shockwaves through his very being. Who am I? The question is echoing through the chambers of the awakened one's mind, leaving no stone unturned. Are you? The question is a whispered secret, leaving the answer hanging precariously in the balance. The revelation is a bombshell, exploding in a blaze of light that leaves nothing but the stark truth in its wake. Well, the truth is finally clear. The pieces are falling into place, revealing a picture both beautiful and terrifying. So, you're saying I'm an awakened one? The implications are mind-boggling, leaving the awakened one reeling in its wake. The next panel will leave you on the edge of your seat. Stay subscribed to Manwa with Hari, or you'll miss the climax. The veil of ignorance shatters, revealing a world where the impossible becomes possible. You're face to face with a truth that defies comprehension, a reality that upends every notion of existence. The words hang in the air, an unspoken pact between two souls, binding them in a dance of discovery. You're staring at one right now. The voice thunders, a harbinger of change that will forever alter the trajectory of lives. The echoes of the past dissolve, replaced by the unsettling quiet of a new era, where the rules are rewritten. Yes, special powers like mine? That's what I said. The words detonate, a bombshell that shatters complacency. Fear's tremors spread, a seismic event reshaping the foundations of a fragile reality. Yes, the voice confirms, a resounding endorsement of a new order that will not be denied. The abyss yawns open, a chasm of uncertainty beckoning the brave and the curious to step into its void. Terry.
You crying? The question hangs in the air, a taunt goading the vulnerable into a confrontation with their deepest fears. Storm clouds gather, a perfect storm of emotion that will not be silenced.
Silence presses down, a weight crushing the fragile threads of sanity. Wipe, wipe, the words are a desperate attempt to erase the pain, to blot out memories that threaten to consume. I thought I was just. The sentence trails off, a fragment of a thought too terrifying to complete.
For crying, the words are a laughable attempt to deflect the truth, a feeble defense against the crushing weight of reality. It's your first time meeting another awakened one? The question is a rhetorical grenade, a bomb exploding in the face of the unsuspecting. Yes.
I heard it's not easy. I used them once without meaning to when I was little. The sentence is a poignant reminder of the fragility of innocence. Will never, the words are a vow, a solemn promise to never again succumb to the temptation of the unknown. They said I was a monster. Since then, I've kept my powers hidden. The words are a desperate attempt to escape the stigma of being an outcast. We had to move often in order to hide my powers. The sentence is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of secrecy.
A weight lifts from his shoulders, like a shroud torn free. The secrets he's carried for so long begin to unravel. The revelation detonates within him, a firestorm of emotions that leaves him reeling. His mind careens from one implication to the next, a maelstrom of questions.
He bursts into a liberating smile, the emotions he's bottled up for so long finally free to express themselves. His face lights up like a sunrise, a testament to the unbreakable bond he's formed with Caden. The tension in his body begins to ease, like a knot slowly unraveling.
The next question forms on his lips, a testament to his insatiable curiosity. He's driven by a hunger to learn, to uncover the secrets that lie just beyond his grasp.
The world of superheroes is one of explosive action and unbridled chaos. Our protagonist is eager to join the fray, to unleash his full potential upon the world. With each passing moment, his abilities grow stronger, more refined. A hint of a smile plays on his lips as he recalls the early days of his abilities, a mere 2 seconds of superhuman speed. The constraints of his power are slowly beginning to shatter, revealing a world of limitless possibility. Caden's words cut through the noise, a reminder that he's not like others. He's an exception. A rumble of uncertainty echoes through the air as he grapples with the truth of his existence. The world outside recedes as he focuses on the simple pleasures in life. A good meal, a warm conversation. The silence between them is a testament to the unspoken understanding that exists between them. With each passing moment, his abilities grow stronger, more refined. The potential for destruction is limitless, a double-edged sword that hangs precariously in the balance. Caden's words hang in the air like a challenge, Can he unlock the secrets of his own power? The answer lies within, waiting to be unleashed. A glimmer of understanding flickers in his eyes. The key to unlocking his true potential lies within training. The road to self-discovery is fraught with danger, but Caden's guidance is the only thing standing between him and catastrophe. The air is electric with tension. He's famished, his stomach growling like a beast unleashed. Elevated hunger, a force to be reckoned with. The crunch of cat food is music to his ears. His taste buds are singing, anticipating the feast. But wait, what's this? A sudden surge of energy. A strange, unfamiliar sensation coursing through his veins. He's on high alert, his senses heightened. A battle-ready warrior, poised to strike. The world around him has changed, his perceptions shattered. Energy is coursing through his body like a runaway train. He's a force to be reckoned with, unstoppable and unrelenting. His power is growing, a maelstrom of might. The question on everyone's mind: what's driving this unprecedented surge? A mysterious, untapped wellspring of power. This energy is not normal, it's a game changer. The rules of the game are about to be rewritten. A new era is dawning, and he's the key. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. This is just the beginning of an epic journey. A clash of titans, a battle for dominance. The outcome is far from certain, the stakes are high. The war for control has begun, and he's in the thick of it. A maelstrom of chaos, a whirlwind of destruction. The world is about to be turned upside down. A hero will rise or a villain will fall. The choice is his, the fate of the world his to decide. He's the master of his destiny, the architect of his own legend. The world is his to shape, his to mold. A new hero is born, and the world will never be the same again. In a burst of cataclysmic energy, Caden's powers detonate like a wildfire, engulfing everything in their path. The fabric of reality shudders as Caden unleashes his full fury, a maelstrom of destruction that threatens to consume the world. Explosive energies erupt all around him, a maelstrom of chaos that sends shattering glass and splintering wood flying in all directions. A colossal crash resounds through the air, sending shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere like a tsunami. Artifacts shatter their pedestals, sent flying like projectiles as Caden's powers surge out of control, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The air crackles with electric tension, the atmosphere itself bracing for the impact of Caden's unstoppable forces. Panic sets in as Caden's erratic behavior sends him careening out of control, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. Mr. Caden's on the run, his unpredictable behavior a ticking time bomb that poses a significant threat to everyone around him. Caden's HP plummets at an alarming rate, leaving him vulnerable to attack and on the brink of collapse. Shattering glass echoes through the air as Caden's powers continue to spiral out of control, a cacophony of chaos that will not be silenced. The stakes are higher than ever, with Caden's unpredictable behavior putting everyone in the crossfire of his unrelenting fury. Caden must find a way to regain control, or risk unleashing his powers on innocent bystanders and sending the city into a catastrophic tailspin. The situation's reaching a boiling point, with Caden's powers threatening to erupt at any moment and send the world into a state of utter chaos. It was a miscalculation of epic proportions, a mistake that will have catastrophic consequences and leave a trail of devastation in its wake. Caden struggles to catch his breath, but the damage is already done. The city's in ruins, and he's the only one who can stop the destruction. I'm worried about the civilians, caught in the crossfire of Caden's unpredictable abilities and desperate to escape the chaos that's engulfing the city. But I'm worried about Caden. Too, his powers are out of control, and it's only a matter of time before someone gets hurt, or worse. The silence is deafening, punctuated only by the sound of shattering glass and screams. A tragic spectacle that will leave a trail of devastation in its wake. The cat's behavior is a ticking time bomb, its every twitch a harbinger of chaos. Unsettling energies are swirling outside, threatening to detonate at any moment. Anything. Got it? The question hangs in the air, a futile attempt to distract from the gathering storm. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The silence shatters like a dropped secret. A single tap pierces the air. Speed unleashes a maelstrom of motion, a blur of chaos that defies comprehension. Advanced movement techniques, honed to perfection, now mere seconds from detonation. He has good speed and advanced movement, a lethal combination. The laws of physics are mere suggestions, not absolutes, for him. I'm certain your super speed and related abilities have developed enough to annihilate any obstacle, any foe, with a single swift strike. To pulverize any foe with a single swift strike. Adrenaline surges through his veins like a raging storm. Abilities? You said that before, too. What's changed? Infinite variables and endless possibilities unfold in this realm of super speed. To move fast, to react faster, to anticipate the unpredictable, is his sole purpose. He's a master of dynamic vision, his senses heightened to the point of domination. It's common knowledge, but for him it's a way of life, a constant evolution. Of course, left the path of least resistance, always a calculated risk. Let's do this. The air is electric, charged with anticipation, as he prepares to unleash his fury. Tap swish, itar tap, the sound of his footsteps, a staccato beat that's music to his ears. Ioho, how much longer can you maintain your super speed? Tyset duding, the effects of exhaustion creep in like a thief in the night. I have about more seconds left. I think I can use it multiple times if I use it in short bursts. The stakes are high, the pressure mounting, as he prepares for the final push. Seconds. Time is running out and he knows it, a countdown to catastrophe. Now, where did that cat go? The question is, does he have time to find it? Go that way. How do you know? And Anna is now more natural and urgent with a clearer flow of ideas.
Whispers spread like wildfire, shattering the calm, and our hero's world is about to implode. A ripple effect, it's all connected to another awakened being, one with powers that defy explanation. Tap, tap, tap. Investigations underway, and the trail leads straight to the heart of the mystery.
Awakened ones? Like those who walked the thin line between reality and the void, leaving chaos in their wake. Buckle up. The rules no longer apply in a world where the fabric of reality's unraveling. Darkness closes in, and our hero's about to face the ultimate test of willpower.
Please echo through the streets. A desperate cry for help from those who've been awakened. But will anyone answer? Our heroes too busy navigating the labyrinthine complexities of this new world to hear the pleas.
Questions swirl, a maelstrom of uncertainty that threatens to engulf our hero whole. Are you the one they call the awakened one, the one who can reshape reality at will? You're the linchpin savior or destroyer. The choice is yours, and the world holds its breath. What's happened to you? Your aura's scarred, and your power's waning. Is it a sign of weakness or a new path? The truth's hidden, wrapped in layers of deception and half-truths, and only the bravest dare to seek it out. Whispers grow louder, a cacophony of fear and anticipation that's about to reach a fever pitch. Energy builds, a surge of adrenaline that's about to propel our hero into the unknown, where the stakes are higher than ever. This is just the beginning. The world's about to be turned upside down, and nothing will ever be the same. Ili, the awakened one's name's on everyone's lips, a mystery waiting to be unraveled, and a legend in the making.
You're more aggressive now. Did your imprint break during the experiment, unleashing a new, darker you? Energy's getting stronger. A roar that's about to shake the foundations of reality and leave nothing standing.
Hisses. The awakened one's aura's growing. A maelstrom of energy that's about to engulf the world and leave nothing but destruction in its wake. Of course, the game's on, and our hero's about to take the stage. But will he emerge victorious? Or will he succumb to the abyss, forever lost? The world's watching, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. But for how long can it sustain the suspense? Caden, there he is. The cat Eerie looking for has just become a target. Wait. Halt. H&H, that man is hiding something. Grab, but what are you grabbing onto? Issus, the air is charged with an electric tension. A glance, just a glance, but it's enough to send shivers down your spine. Caden, the cat's eyes are fixed on that man. There's the cat Eerie looking for, but you don't see the human. That man? Yes, he's the awakened one, a force to be reckoned with. Huh? Awakened? You can't jump blindly at an awakened one. I think he's related to that cat. The connection is unmistakable. That energy was a signal calling that cat. A hidden language only a few can decipher. No, I'm not gonna let him chase me, that's good. Did he come to find the cat? Or was it something else entirely? Disclosing his power like that, it's like a warning shot across the bow. Hiss. The cat's eyes are blazing with a fierce intensity. Swish. SPPT. You're dying because of that hit. The life is draining from your veins. SPPN. The sound of your own heartbeat is fading into the distance. PZZZT. Gag. The moment of truth is upon you. Hiss. The cat's eyes are fixed on you like a predator waiting to strike. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. A crown, forged in the depths of madness, awaited its unsuspecting recipient. Can you stomach the truth? Anticipation crackled through the air as two titans clashed, their eyes locked in a blood-chilling stare that could shatter steel. Splat! Shattering glass echoed through the air as the first blow landed, a resounding crash that left one opponent reeling. Heh. Okay. Time to wake up, reality warped and distorted, colors bleeding into each other like watercolors on wet paper. As the world around him began to unravel, a maelstrom of energy coalesced into a being of unbridled fury, its presence scouring the air clean with an absolute sense of purpose. The earth shook as the being's power surged to new heights, a deafening roar that could shatter the very foundations of the world. Shit, he's stronger than I thought. He's manipulating the very threads of fate themselves, weaving a tapestry of destiny that would either elevate or crush its opponent. Against a cat, a creature so small, so insignificant, that it's almost laughable to think of it as a worthy adversary. Is his power psychokinesis? That's all? Plodding forward, the being's movements a testament to its unwavering resolve, a force of nature that would not be swayed. Its movements were honed to a razor's edge, a deadly precision that made it a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Is this all he can do in his awakened state? The question hung in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down by the being itself. Oh, you didn't pass out. The being's words hung in the air like a challenge, a promise of what was to come. But I need to save him. Compassion flared to life in the cat's mind, a fleeting moment of humanity in a world gone mad. He's weak because he fought me. Don't be stupid. The being's words cut through the air like a hot knife through butter, leaving the cat reeling from the sheer force of its conviction. A spark of defiance flared to life in the cat's eyes, a refusal to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. I told you he's an... Jaiwa's eyes erupt with a maelstrom, chaos unleashed like a tempest. You know it'll be different, Jaiwa says, his words a desperate lifeline clinging to reason as the world around him unravels. The oppressive silence that follows is a weight crushing his resolve, a physical force bearing down on him. Don't be naive, Jaiwa's voice cracks, the question hanging like a gauntlet thrown down, a challenge to his very existence. Witness the devastation that follows, the cat's absence a void that consumes everything in its path. Can he prepare for the worst, when the enemy he faces will stop at nothing, including taking his life? Will he stand frozen, a statue, as the fury unleashes its full force, or will he find a way to escape the coming storm? Awakening to his powers was a revelation, but fighting an awakened one is a different beast altogether, one that threatens to consume him whole. The weight of his inexperience hangs over him like a dark abyss, a chasm waiting to swallow him whole. Jaiwu, you cannot win. The words are a cold, harsh reality, a slap in the face that leaves him reeling. Jaiwu stumbles, lost and adrift, as the ground beneath him shifts, leaving him grasping for a lifeline. He should understand now that fights between awakened ones are a deadly game, with lives on the line and no room for error. Jaiwa's newfound powers are a double-edged sword, bringing both exhilaration and terror, as he realizes the consequences of his actions. At the brink of collapse, Jaiwa's thoughts are a jumble of fear and doubt, as the thought of losing everything becomes a crushing weight. A hissing sound pierces the air, a warning sign that Jaiwu is running out of time, and the cat is closing in. Why won't you attack me? Jaiwa's words are a plea, a cry for mercy, but the cat is unmoved. Are you threatening me? The question is a challenge, a dare to take the next step, and Jaiwu is forced to confront his fears. Disappoint, Jaiwa's face contorts in anguish, his eyes widening in horror as he realizes he's no match for the cat. Aiji. The cat's words are a cruel mockery, a taunt that Jaiwu is no match for him, and it's only a matter of time before he's defeated. Tap. Run away. Jaiwa's instincts scream at him to flee, to escape the coming storm, but he's rooted to the spot. The cat's eyes flash with anticipation, a hunger that cannot be satiated, and Jaiwu is the next course on the menu. Swish. This refined script incorporates the V27 gold standard principles to create a more engaging, visceral, and dynamic narrative that captivates the viewer's attention and drives the story forward with urgency and tension.
A whispered secret shatters the calm. The crown was a gift, a death sentence. The air is thick with tension as a life-altering encounter unfolds, its impact reverberating like a shattering crystal.
A single, blood-chilling word shatters the silence. The truth. The stakes escalate, and our hero's future teeters on the brink of collapse. A precarious balancing act between life and death. An unexpected ally emerges, their intentions as enigmatic as a whispered promise. The newcomer's origin is shrouded in mystery, a puzzle waiting to be solved. But one thing is clear. They're driven by an insatiable hunger. Their eyes lock onto the prize, a coveted treasure that holds the key to unimaginable power and our hero's very existence. A warning sign flashes, a red flag signaling the approaching storm, and our hero's desperate bid for survival. The world shatters, a deafening boom that echoes through the void, leaving destruction in its wake. The dust settles, But the true extent of the devastation remains a dark, foreboding mystery. He vanishes into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a desperate quest for answers. The hunt begins, a relentless pursuit that will stop at nothing to uncover the truth and our hero's fate. A cryptic message surfaces, a hidden clue that holds the secret to our hero's survival and their very soul. The weight of their power is crushing, a crushing burden that threatens to consume them whole. Time is running out, a ticking clock that fuels our hero's desperation to escape the clutches of danger. A desperate cry echoes through the void, a primal scream that shatters the silence, and our hero's last hope for salvation. The stakes have never been higher, a perilous balancing act between life and death, and our hero's very existence hangs in the balance. The world is turned upside down once more, a maelstrom of chaos and destruction that threatens to consume everything in its path. The line between friend and foe blurs, a treacherous landscape where loyalty is a luxury and survival is the only currency that matters. The danger is no longer just about survival, it's about domination, a ruthless pursuit of power that will stop at nothing to claim the prize. Caden's world shattered like fragile glass as he stumbled backwards, eyes bulging in horror. Time froze, the only sound the ragged gasps escaping his lips as the stakes became clear. He was a mere pawn in a deadly game.
A menacing figure loomed over Caden, its presence a cold, dark shadow that seemed to suck the air from his lungs. Anna's mocking laughter was a fleeting moment of levity, but it quickly gave way to a fierce determination in Caden's eyes.
A burst of electricity crackled through the air as Caden's powers surged to the forefront, his body a conduit for the raw energy coursing through him. Anna's eyes widened in surprise as Caden took down his attacker with a swift, decisive motion, his movements a blur of speed and precision. Caden's eyes locked onto Anna's, a spark of recognition igniting within them as the truth dawned on him like a sunrise over a new horizon. A new era was dawning, and Caden was at the forefront of it all, his presence a catalyst for change. Caden's grin was a thing of beauty, a wide, unbridled smile that spoke volumes about his unrelenting enthusiasm. "I realized the power I tried to hide is a problem," Caden said, his words hanging in the air like a challenge, daring anyone to take him on. The world was about to be turned upside down, and Caden was the catalyst, his actions a harbinger of change. The whispers of the crowd grew louder, their excitement palpable as they sensed the shift in the balance of power. The mocking laughter was short-lived, replaced by a deafening silence as Caden's presence dominated the scene. "Will you shut up?" The demand was met with a scowl, but Caden remained undeterred, his focus fixed on the task at hand. "I lost the sample. I worked so hard to build that sample," Anna thought, the realization dawning on her like a cold, hard truth. The air was electric with tension as Caden's instincts kicked in, his body a finely tuned instrument of precision and speed. The sample, the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. They handed him the keys to the kingdom, on the day they planned to incinerate it. The beast stirs, and chaos erupts. This is no ordinary feline. Its eyes blaze with an otherworldly intensity, like hot coals igniting the night. The streets are a war zone, innocent lives hanging by a thread. The cat's claws slash through the air, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake, a maelstrom of chaos. The screams of the crowd drown out the shattering of glass, a cacophony of terror. This is no mere animal. It's a force of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. The cat's eyes lock onto its prey, a woman frozen in fear, paralyzed by terror. She tries to flee, but her legs are rooted to the spot, unable to move, her heart racing with fear. The cat's jaws yawn wide, revealing razor-sharp teeth, a deadly trap waiting to be sprung. This is no ordinary attack. It's a calculated strike, a precision-crafted killing blow. The woman's eyes go wide as the cat's claws rip across her face, a blood-chilling scream echoing through the night. The sound of shattering bone echoes through the air, a sickening crunch that sends shivers down the spine. The cat's roar is deafening, a primal scream that shakes the very foundations, a battle cry that sends the crowd into a state of pandemonium. This is no ordinary cat. It's a monster, a creature driven by hunger and rage, a force of nature that cannot be contained. The woman's body is torn apart, ripped from the ground with ease, a gruesome spectacle that sends shockwaves through the crowd. The streets run red with blood, a testament to the cat's unrelenting ferocity, a carnage that seems to have no end. The city is in chaos, a war zone with no end in sight, a battleground where the very fabric of society is being torn apart. The woman's screams are silenced, her body torn to pieces, a gruesome and inhuman spectacle that defies comprehension. The cat's claws rake across the pavement, leaving a trail of destruction that seems to have no end, a maelstrom of chaos that consumes everything in its path. The city is in a state of siege, a battleground where the very fabric of society is being torn apart, a war zone where the rules of civilization no longer apply. This is no ordinary cat. It's a monster, a creature driven by a hunger that can never be sated, a force of nature that will stop at nothing to feed its insatiable appetite. Jaiwa's eyes go wide as the world detonates around him, the look on his face a perfect storm of shock and fury. His rage ignites, a wildfire that's about to engulf everything in its path. The stakes have escalated from cat and mouse to a full-blown battle royale. Jai was oblivious to the danger lurking in the shadows, a pawn in a game he can't even begin to comprehend. The forbidden is unfolding before his eyes, and he's powerless to stop it. A glimpse of the truth is all he needs to realize he's stumbled into the abyss. Panic sets in as Jaiwa's world crumbles around him. The people he trusts are the ones who want to take him down, and he's in the crosshairs. The cat's out of the bag, and Jaiwa's in for the ride of his life. They won't hesitate to eliminate him if it means protecting their own interests. Jaiwa's in the crosshairs, and the clock is ticking down to his last breath. Jaiwa's just discovered he's been awakened, and he's already in way over his head.
Jai was better off in the dark, oblivious to the danger that's closing in around him. Even if he did know the truth, it wouldn't change a thing. So what's the point? Jai was just starting to realize the magnitude of his mistake, and it's only going to get worse.
Jaiwa's apology falls flat as Caden's expression turns to stone. What's he playing at? Jai was about to find out the hard way. Jai was not getting off that easily, and Caden's not going to let him. Slam surprise. Jai was in for a world of hurt if he keeps this up. Jai was not worried about himself. He's concerned about what he's gotten himself into, and it's only just beginning, a never-ending nightmare from which he may never awaken. Jaiwa's got a lot to learn before he can even begin to comprehend the danger he's in. And he lost the cat. Jaiwa's already lost so much more than that. His innocence, his trust, his very life. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. The stakes have never been higher, and Jaiwa's running out of time. He's got to act fast if he wants to survive. The clock is ticking down to his last breath. Jaiwa's in a desperate game of cat and mouse, and only one can emerge victorious. Jaiwa's last chance is slipping away, a fleeting opportunity to escape the danger that's closing in around him. But will he take it? The clock is ticking down to his last breath. Arring! The darkness detonated into a maelstrom of chaos, a vortex that swallowed everything in its path. Unlikely allies careened through the night, their reckless abandon a recipe for disaster. Chaos erupted around them, a maelstrom of destruction that threatened to consume everything in its path. School loomed ahead, a battleground waiting to erupt. The once safe haven was now a hotbed of danger, where the innocent were preyed upon. Time ticked by like grains of sand in an hourglass, each one a countdown to catastrophe. The engine roared to life, a beast awakening from a deep slumber. The sound was a thunderclap, a shockwave that rattled the air. The cat's pitiful meows were a cry for help, a desperate plea from a creature on the brink. The cat's eyes snapped open, a flash of life in a sea of darkness. The sight was a revelation, a beacon of hope in a desperate situation. A cacophony of terror echoed through the night, a scream that seemed to shatter the air. If he goes back to that state again, I'll watch him. Huh? The words were a whispered promise, a vow to protect and serve. The tone was a gentle caress, a soothing balm that calmed their fears. He needs energy to transform, but he doesn't have enough right now. Also, this kitty cat can't do anything to me. I'm the great Caden. The words were laced with sarcasm, a mocking tone that belied the fears that lurked beneath. Smirk. The expression was a mask, a facade that hid the turmoil that raged beneath. The cat's eyes never left Caden's face, a piercing gaze that seemed to bore into his very soul. The connection was electric, a spark that seemed to ignite the air. Mr. Caden, you're amazing. The words were a whispered awe, a reverence that bordered on worship.
People have said that for not too long a time. Brag, but I am considered one of the greats. Oh, good memories. You're not even on my level. The words were a whispered confidence, a boast that was laced with a hint of insecurity. Wah, mister. Really see it. The phrase hung in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down. The uncertainty was suffocating, a weight that pressed down on their shoulders. And then
Mr. Caden. Peak. What now? The fragile balance of power teeters on a razor's edge. A whispered promise hangs in the air, and with it, the weight of responsibility. You're not well, so you should stay with the ones who can protect you, shelter you from the storm that's brewing. At least until you're all better. The calm before the tempest, a fleeting respite from the chaos that awaits. Please, tap tap promise tap, a desperate plea to hold on to what's left. The scent of deception wafts through the air, a subtle warning of impending doom. No choice, the words echo through the silence, a grim reminder of the path ahead. God damn it. Meow. The feline's plaintive cry shatters the stillness. Meow, the sound of desperation, a call for help that's been ignored. Meow looking around, meow, a desperate search for escape. Meow, the hiss of a creature cornered and fighting back. Han, what are you doing? Get away from me, darn, brush brush. The soft sound of a gentle pat, a soothing balm for a wounded soul. Ha! Look at them. The ones who've been left behind, abandoned to their fate. Meow. You're eating the sniff, the tentative sniff of a predator sensing prey. IWH, the whispered warning of a danger lurking just out of sight. Tremble, the ground beneath your feet begins to shake. Boom. The world erupts in a cacophony of sound and fury. Absolute domination. The phrase echoes through the silence, a chilling reminder of the power that's been unleashed. The abyss yawns open, a void of uncertainty that threatens to consume everything in its path. A surge of adrenaline courses through the veins, a desperate bid to keep pace with the chaos that's unfolding. Roar, the sound of a beast unleashed, a force of nature that cannot be stopped. The world is on the brink of collapse, the fragile threads that hold it together beginning to fray and snap. A pulverizing blow strikes, the sound of which is lost in the chaos that ensues. A maelstrom of chaos detonated, shattering the world around him into a cacophony of tremors. A fragile thread of gratitude connected the wounded figure to the felines, who had guided him through the treacherous terrain with an uncanny precision. I wouldn't have found you if it weren't for them, the figure muttered, their voice laced with a mixture of relief and gratitude.
A desperate cry for help hung in the balance, the figure's words barely audible over the cacophony. Can we? The silence that followed was oppressive, the only sound the soft crunch of unknown textures.
A crude addition solved the mathematical problem at hand. A crude equation scrawled on the ground, the answer hanging precariously in the balance. The sound of voracious eaters echoed through the air, a chorus of meows and chomps that left no doubt as to the feline's intentions. The world around him descended into a maelstrom of senses, each one screaming for attention. A cacophony of meows, chomps, and crunching that threatened to consume him whole.
A faint whisper hung in the balance, a plea for sustenance that echoed through the desolate landscape. A staccato rhythm built in anticipation, each beat a reminder that time was running out. A countdown of sorts, a ticking clock that seemed to grow louder with each passing moment.
The world itself seemed to pause, holding its breath in anticipation of the reveal. A moment of perfect stillness, a pause that seemed to stretch on forever. The world around him detonated in a blaze of color and sound, each moment building on the last in a dizzying display of chaos. A kaleidoscope of colors and sounds that threatened to consume him whole. A final, desperate cry hung in the balance, a plea for something yet to come. A whispered hint of something delicious, something that seemed to tantalize the figure's senses. The plot explodes like a ticking time bomb, detonating in Bae Suryong's face as the truth about the crown's true nature is finally revealed. Chaos erupts as Suryong is ambushed by an unseen assailant. The attack a calculated strike that shatters his confidence with a single, merciless blow. As Suryong stumbles backward, he's swallowed by an abyss of uncertainty. The only sound the heavy, ominous beat of his own panicked heart.
Caden's voice drips with malice, a razor-sharp whisper that cuts through the silence like a hot knife through butter, leaving Suryong's skin crawling with unease. The mastermind's words are laced with a venomous intent, a calculated effort to shatter Suryong's trust in himself, to leave him shattered and broken.
As the truth begins to sink in, Suryong's expression contorts in a mixture of anger and despair, his face a twisted mask of anguish as the battle within him rages on. Caden's words hang in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down that Suryong can't help but accept. The question is, at what terrible, soul-shattering cost? A key was thrust into his hand, unlocking a door that creaked open to reveal a realm where darkness reigned supreme. His face contorted in a rictus of terror, frozen in place like a scream that refused to escape, as the city behind him burned to ashes. A shriek pierced the air as the once pristine white walls of the mansion were scorched and cracked, like the surface of a detonated volcano, spewing forth a maelstrom of chaos. He plunged headfirst into the abyss, leaving behind a trail of absolute devastation and unrelenting despair, a path of destruction that seemed to have no end. A cold, calculated voice whispered in his ear, "This is your domain, Beol. Dominate or perish. Your choice, your fate." But something was terribly wrong. This was not the world he knew, nor was it the place he had sworn to protect. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, pulsating with an electric charge that threatened to consume them all. Yet, in the distance, a figure emerged from the shadows, its presence casting a long, ominous shadow across the ground, like a specter of death itself. A cat? No, not just any cat. A creature of unholy power, forged in the depths of a realm where demons roamed free, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly energy.
A single, chilling letter that seemed to hold the key to unlocking the secrets of this forsaken world. A mysterious symbol that seemed to hold the power to unlock the very fabric of reality.
The creature's voice cut through the air like a hot knife through butter, sending shivers down Beol's spine, a sound that seemed to be both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, pulsating with an electric charge that threatened to consume them all, a feeling that seemed to build in intensity with every passing moment. The sound of the creature's voice still lingered in the air, a chilling reminder that this was far from over, a sound that seemed to haunt Beol like a ghost from his past. Jai Wasio, the electrifying force of the martial arts world, unleashes a whirlwind of steel and fury, leaving his opponent reeling. In a blur of speed, Jaiwu closes in, his fists a maelstrom of power that shatters the air. Will Jaiwu's unrelenting assault prove too much for his adversary to handle, or will they find a way to counter his ferocity? The stakes are raised, and the battle lines are drawn, as these two titans clash in a maelstrom of martial arts mastery that threatens to consume them both. His opponent stumbles backward, their defenses shattered by Jaiwu's relentless onslaught, their eyes wide with fear. Jaiwu's pummeling continues, each strike a testament to his unwavering dedication to victory that leaves his opponent gasping for air. Jaiwu's dominance is absolute, his opponent no match for the sheer force of his will, which crushes their spirit like a tempest. The roar of the crowd grows louder, their voices a deafening crescendo of support for the indomitable Jai Wasio, who stands tall like a warrior.
Jaiwa's opponent, their defenses breached, stumbles forward, a desperate cry on their lips as they beg for mercy. Jaiwu, his eyes blazing with intensity, raises his fist, a symbol of his unyielding determination that refuses to back down.
Jaiwa's eyes narrow, his gaze piercing the veil of uncertainty, as he sizes up his opponent with a calculating intensity. Over, Anna's voice cuts through the air, her words a challenge to Jaiwa's authority that sparks a fire within him. Chinach, yeah, wrong? If so, you should tell me. Jaiwa's words, a low, even tone, hide a depth of emotion that threatens to boil over at any moment. Okay, sir, I've got to go. Jaiwa's opponent turns to flee, their words a hasty retreat that only makes Jaiwu more determined to catch them. Up. Jaiwa's voice, a command, echoes through the air as he raises his fist, ready to strike. Slam. Jaiwa's fist connects with his opponent's jaw, the sound a resounding crash that sends shockwaves through the arena. The air is shattered, the sound of Jaiwa's dominance echoing through the arena, as the crowd roars with approval. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. Jaiwu, the storm is brewing. His reflexes detonated in a flash of movement, but what's got him so on edge? Tap, tap. The sound of his footwork echoes through the silence. Eleceed, the mysterious energy coursing through his veins, is calling the shots. Mister.
Right? The question echoes in his mind, but he's already lost in the fray. Sorry, I was rushing.
I gotta go. The words are a dismissal, a hasty goodbye as Jaiwu beats a retreat. Tap tar. The sound of his footsteps recedes into the distance. The air is electric, charged with an otherworldly energy. Bzzzzzzz. Sir. The reply is a cryptic message, a riddle wrapped in mystery. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The calm shatters, like a dropped glass, as chaos erupts. Anticipation crackles through the air, like live wires. Secrets are about to be ripped apart like torn pages. You think you're a student? Don't be fooled. This is a war zone. The tracker's abomination is unleashed, a living nightmare that stalks its prey. Its presence is a cold, dead weight that crushes hope. The lab's icy grip tightens, squeezing the life from freedom. The air grows thick with desperation. But the game's about to change, and you're the prized piece. Your value just skyrocketed, and the stakes are about to get very real. The rules are about to detonate like a bomb set to explode. The abyss opens, a chasm that yawns wide, staring you in the face. You're about to take a leap of faith into the unknown. Your world is about to be scorched, like a wildfire that consumes everything in its path. Only ashes will remain. No. The fuse is lit, and the explosion is imminent. The air is charged with tension, like a coiled spring. Awaken, for the battle of wits has begun. The game is on, and only one can emerge victorious. The stakes are rising, like a crescendo of sound. Where am I? The world has gone mad, like a puzzle with missing pieces. You're lost, and the only way out is through the chaos. Meow, the wild card enters the fray, like a card drawn from a deck. The rules are about to change, and you're not ready. MUHMPHHH, the game begins, and you're at the mercy of the hunter. Your life hangs in the balance. Hissus, the game's afoot, and nothing can stop it now. The chase is on, and you're running out of time. NHBDDDPT. The war drums beat louder, like a heartbeat in your chest. The battle rages on, and you're running out of breath. BDDPT. The enemy closes in, like a predator stalking its prey. You're trapped, and the only way out is through the fight. The outcome hangs in the balance, like a seesaw teetering on the edge. Only one can emerge victorious, and the stakes are higher than ever. Tremble, for the master of strategy has entered the fray, like a chess player making his move. Tremble, tremble, the battle is far from over. The war drums beat louder, and the outcome is far from certain. SPPPT, the tables are turned, like a card flipped over. The hunter becomes the hunted, and the game is on. The clock is ticking, like a countdown to disaster. The gates of chaos swing open, unleashing a maelstrom of mayhem upon the world. The sound of impending doom echoes through the streets, a deafening cacophony that shatters complacent calm. As the ground trembles beneath our feet, reality begins to unravel.
The figure's voice rings out, a clarion call to arms. A battle cry that shakes the foundations of reality. You imbecile! The insult is hurled like a gauntlet, a challenge to all who would dare oppose this titan.
The air is charged with an electric tension, a sense of impending doom that hangs over all like a specter. The figure's hand moves with precision, a cold, calculating logic that drives it forward.
The words are a whispered promise, a vow to unleash hell itself upon the world. I3WOWI. The figure's voice is a cold, mirthless laugh, a reminder of the figure's unyielding ferocity.
The sound is a cold, mirthless laugh, a reminder of the figure's unyielding ferocity. Hehe. The figure's voice is a ticking time bomb, a countdown to catastrophe. The air is charged with an electric tension, a sense of impending doom that hangs over all like a specter. Brr. The figure's words are a taunt, a challenge to all who would dare oppose it. But I'm worried. Why hasn't the woken LP? Is something? The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Jaiwa's eyes burst open, unleashing a maelstrom of chaos that ravaged the world around him. Time warped and distorted, reality's fragments reassembling into a new, blood-chilling landscape that taunted him with every step. His guardian's voice sliced through the void, a beacon of hope that pierced the darkness with a gentle whisper. You're fortunate. I was worried he'd never awaken. The silence was a palpable, crushing weight that suffocated Jaiwa's mind. A cold, hollow shell that echoed with an otherworldly stillness.
Jaiwu, I'm curious. Those 3 cats are strays. You don't keep them as pets, do you? Their eyes seem to hold a secret language, a hidden dialect that only they could decipher. Right, they're strays and I don't keep them as pets.
A cacophony of sounds assaulted Jaiwa's senses. Screeching, scratching, hissing, a symphony of chaos that threatened to consume him. Of your business. Maniacal laughter echoed through Jaiwa's mind, a chilling reminder of the abyss that yawned before him, a void that seemed to swallow everything in its path. Jaiwa's gaze drifted away, lost in the memories that still lingered, memories of friends he'd made because of his powers, friends who'd stood by him through the turmoil. We moved around a lot, and I never really knew what it meant to belong. The first friend I made back then was a cat. A ball of fluff with eyes that shone like stars in the night sky. A tiny, fierce companion that had captured my heart. Screeching tires, a cacophony of chaos that still echoed through Jaiwa's mind. A sound that was forever etched into his memory. The silence was a heavy weight that pressed down upon Jaiwa's chest, a crushing burden that threatened to suffocate him. How long Jaiwa's guardian's voice drifted away, lost in the mists of time, a question that hung in the air like a challenge. The silence was a void that seemed to swallow everything in its path, a chasm that yawned before Jaiwu like an abyss. The words blurred together, a jumbled mess of sound and fury, a cacophony of emotions that threatened to consume Jaiwu. Of a story, right? His eyes, bloodshot and pleading, scream for respite from the relentless exhaustion that's suffocating him. The weight of the world is crushing him, every waking moment a struggle to stay afloat. Memories of school are a distant, fading dream, lost in the haze of sleep deprivation that's consumed his days. He's a ticking time bomb, ready to detonate at any moment, his body screaming for mercy as the strain builds to a catastrophic crescendo. The powers he's been given are a double-edged sword, a blessing and a curse that threatens to consume him whole. He's lost all sense of reality, his world reduced to a dull haze of fatigue and desperation. His body is a battleground, a war zone where the enemy is his own exhaustion. The strain is unbearable, the pressure building to a catastrophic crescendo. The air is thick with tension, the anticipation building to a fever pitch. His body is a ticking time bomb, ready to detonate at any moment. A whispered phrase sends shivers down his spine, a promise of salvation in a world gone mad.
A whispered promise sends shivers down his spine, a vow of protection in a world gone mad. The words are a balm to his soul, a soothing salve in a world of hurt and pain. The very thought of rest is a distant memory, a fleeting dream lost in the haze of his own exhaustion. His body is a ticking time bomb, ready to detonate at any moment. A whispered phrase sends shivers down his spine, a promise of protection in a world gone mad. A faint whisper sends shivers down his spine, a vow of salvation in a world gone mad. The words are a lifeline, a thread of hope in a sea of desperation. His heartbeat is a distant memory, a fleeting thought lost in the haze of his own exhaustion.
God damn it. It's really dead. Then, the once thriving experiment lies in smoldering ruin, its life force extinguished. Every last creature, every last shred of hope is reduced to ash, a haunting reminder of what's been lost. HGH, I need more time. The clock is ticking down, a countdown to catastrophe. Results are in a resounding failure. The sound of shattering dreams will be no more. The word Nusen echoes through the desolate landscape like a death knell, a haunting reminder of what could have been, the specter of failure looming large. Inium brings more animals to experiment Eno, a desperate bid to revive the dying dream. The pleas of the desperate are met with a deafening silence, a crushing weight that presses down. Professor, we've used all the animals, every last one. The last remnants of a dying dream are all that remain. Aloft them, then go catch some more, the words dripping with venom. Panic sets in as the authorities close in, the sound of sirens growing louder. The line between science and madness is blurred, the boundaries between reason and chaos dissolving. Shut up. Whoosh. The sound of chaos erupts as the experiment spirals out of control. Clang. The screech of metal on metal, a clash of titans, the world holding its breath. The air is thick with tension as the professor's patience wears thin, his anger simmering just below the surface. Have to explain everything? The weight of responsibility is crushing, the pressure building. Swish. Useless bastard. The sound of contempt is laced with venom, a poisonous barb that strikes true. The sound of chaos is laced with the stench of failure, the smell of defeat hanging heavy in the air. Plod plod. The monotony is a stark contrast to the chaos that reigns, a jarring reminder of the experiment's failure. The silence is deafening, a heavy weight that presses down, the stillness a stark contrast to the chaos that surrounds. If you can't get them from this area, from somewhere else, the desperation in his voice is palpable. Have to explain everything? The weight of responsibility is crushing, the pressure building. Swish. Useless bastard. The sound of chaos is laced with the stench of failure, the smell of defeat hanging heavy in the air. Plod plod. The monotony is a stark contrast to the chaos that reigns, a jarring reminder of the experiment's failure. Start with a visceral shock. Example. They told him the crown was a gift. It was actually a death sentence. Delete repetitive words. If suddenly or however appear, replace them with visceral actions. Replace abstract adjectives with sensory verbs. Example. Replace scary with blood-chilling. And Anna feels natural and urgent. Osar, they'd come so far, sacrificed so much, and yet they stood frozen, refusing to yield. The weight of their decision hung in the balance like a guillotine, its blade poised to drop at any moment. Every fiber of their being screamed to keep pushing forward, to shatter the status quo and forge a new path. OCR, they gritted their teeth, clenching their fist in a desperate bid to summon the strength they so desperately needed. Their muscles trembled with the effort, as if they were trying to will themselves into existence. Their heart pounded like a drum, its rhythm syncing with the very fabric of reality. Every beat was a countdown, a ticking clock that measured the seconds until their fate was sealed. Osar, their muscles screamed in protest as they strained to reach the breaking point. Every fiber of their being was stretched to the limit, as if they were a human spring coiled and ready to unleash a devastating burst of energy. Their resolve began to waver, like a leaf caught in a gust of wind. The weight of their decisions hung heavy on their conscience, a burden they were not sure they could carry. So you had a bad dream. Tremble. My chest is still heavy. Yeah, I think it's... Jaiwa's words trail off, lost in the darkness that surrounds him. I have refined the script to make it more engaging, with a focus on lexical diversity, visceral actions, and sensory verbs. I have also removed repetitive words and filler phrases, and ensured that every syllable earns its place in the narrative. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Yet you pretend you didn't understand. Don't play coy with me. Your attempts to hide your true self are no longer working. The truth is out. Now. And right now, it's the only thing you're getting. No answers, no explanations. Shut up. I'm only telling you this because you treated me well. That's all. No hidden agenda here. Yet. Yes, so no more stupid talk. I'm not in the mood for it. Cut the drama. Worried? Ha! The great Caden is not worried about anyone. His empire's too vast for that. The silence is, and you're starting to feel the heat. Your anxiety's a palpable thing. Was I wrong? Should I have played it safe instead of calling your bluff? The question hangs in the air. If you're that worried, I'll teach you one thing. I'll teach you how to develop and efficiently use your powers. There's no excuse for blindly stumbling through life. You're a liability. The time for excuses is over. You're going to learn whether you like it or not. Resistance is futile. A way to go, then. The real training begins now. Wow, you're going to teach me that? Yes. I'm ready for whatever you've got. Bring it on. Sorry. You're going to be sorry you ever asked for this. The consequences will be dire. The gauntlet's been thrown, and you've accepted the challenge. Now you'll have to face the music. The stakes are high and the game's afoot. It's time to put your money where your mouth is. No more empty promises. You're about to get a crash course in reality. And it's going to hurt. The truth will cut deep. Not bad. This is good enough.
Much to your surprise, the basement's not what you expected. It's not even close. The darkness is deeper than you thought. Let's begin. The real lesson starts now. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're in for a world of pain. You've been using your power blindly.
They whispered a lie. The crown was a gift, but it was actually a death sentence. The system convulses, a cacophonous explosion of sound and fury, a harsh reminder that true power doesn't come easily. It's a grueling marathon, not a sprint. So, it's a long shot, a Hail Mary, but what if he's the anomaly that defies the odds, the exception to the rule? The method is ancient, a mysterious ritual honed to perfection. But can it be replicated? Or is it a one-time fluke? This isn't just about developing the power. It's about harnessing it, channeling it, and unleashing it upon the world like a force of nature. A maelstrom of energy that's both beautiful and terrifying.
Come to me. Yes, sir. The words are a whispered promise. A tantalizing prospect that's impossible to resist. A siren's call that draws him in. The air is electric, charged with anticipation. As he takes a step forward, his heart pounding in his chest like a jackhammer.
The world holds its breath as he unleashes a surge of energy, a blast of power that's both exhilarating and terrifying, a whirlwind of chaos that's impossible to ignore. The world is on the brink of chaos, a maelstrom of energy that's both beautiful and terrifying, a perfect storm that's about to unleash its fury. This feels similar to when he gave him his,
I'm going to channel my powers into you, let you feel how powers move and grow, a sensation that's both exhilarating and terrifying, a roller coaster ride that's impossible to ignore.
Okay. The words are a whispered promise, a confirmation that he's ready to take the leap, a leap of faith that's about to change everything. The air is electric, charged with anticipation. As he takes a step forward, his heart pounding in his chest like a jackhammer, a countdown to chaos. This is it, the moment of truth, the point of no return, a decision that's about to change everything. He's about to unleash a revolution, a game changer that's going to shatter the status quo like a dropped bombshell, a seismic shift that's impossible to ignore. Electric tension crackles through the air as our hero's training is put to the ultimate test. His mentor's warning still echoes in his mind. He's not yet ready for the challenges ahead. Anticipation builds as our hero prepares to face his greatest fear. Time freezes as our hero's focus narrows to a single, burning question. Can I do this? His world narrows to a pinpoint, a laser-like intensity that blurs out everything else. The ground shudders beneath his feet, a harbinger of the maelstrom about to erupt. Huzn. The sound of his ragged breathing, the only indication he's still human. The world around him has melted away, leaving only the primal urge to survive. The room distorts, a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes that blur together in a maddening dance. The air is thick with tension as our hero struggles to regain control. The power surges through him, a wild animal that needs to be tamed, a force that's both exhilarating and terrifying. His body trembles with the effort, a testament to the Herculean task he's undertaking. Huff. The sound of his breathing, a harsh reminder he's still alive. The world around him is a desolate wasteland, devoid of hope or reason. Ha! TM tired. W Huif. But if you huff, try hard for several months, you. The words are a distant memory, a cruel joke played on a man who's already at his breaking point. The thought sends a shiver down his spine, a cold dread that threatens to consume him. Several months. The room around him begins to take shape, a solid, tangible reality that's been missing for what feels like an eternity. His world snaps back into focus, a sharp, crystal-clear image that's both exhilarating and terrifying. His mentor's words, a distant memory, now take on a new meaning.
The power's moving like you taught me, so that's how you do it. The words are a revelation, a moment of absolute clarity that's been years in the making. Our hero's eyes light up with a newfound understanding, a spark of hope that ignites a fire within him.
The world is about to shatter into a million pieces, and you're the only one who knows why. Rillion alarms shriek in unison, piercing through the morning air like 1,000 screaming banshees. Late for school, but not for the reason you think. Your stomach growls, but it's not the only belly that's empty. Where's the food, you demand, but the real question is, who's been eating it? A tiny thread of hope snaps, plunging the world into chaos. Splat, the sound of a lifeless body hits the ground, but it's not the only thing that's lifeless. SPPPT, the sound of a soul draining out of a body, a soul that was never truly alive to begin with.
The world is a cruel mistress, and she's just shown you her dark side. A heart that's been shattered, but not in the way you think. Energy is gathering, but it's not the kind you want to see.
The process of gathering energy, a delicate dance of life and death. Progress so fast, it's almost too much to handle. The first time I've seen someone progress this quickly, except for one person, of course. A method so effective it's almost like cheating. A secret so precious, it's been kept hidden for far too long. A realization that hits you like a ton of bricks, or in this case, a speeding bullet. The method that's been kept hidden. A secret that's been locked away for far too long. A question that echoes through the halls of time. A question that's been answered, but only in the most devastating way possible. The truth is out and it's not pretty. A method that's been kept hidden, but now it's too late. The consequences are dire, and the future looks bleaker than ever. The world is on the brink of collapse, and you're the only one who can stop it.
A desperate cry for help, but it's too late. The damage is done. The world is a cruel mistress, and she's just shown you her dark side. The thread of hope snaps, plunging the world into chaos.
The sound of a lifeless body hits the ground, a body that was never truly alive. The world is a stage, and you're the only one who's watching. The show is about to begin, and it's going to be a wild ride.
A bombshell drops. I've been hiding a secret about Jaiwa's method. His skills are skyrocketing, leaving the competition in the dust, like a wildfire scorching the landscape. Meet Umianso, a genius who's been holding court, unleashing a torrent of pure, unadulterated genius that's as mesmerizing as a snake charmer's spell.
The crowd is on its feet, chanting, "Who's a genius?" The great Caden, as he unleashes a storm of creativity that defies the rules. The air is electric with anticipation, the crowd on the edge of their seats, their hearts pounding like a drumline. The temptation is real, but Jaiwa's resolve is absolute, no distractions allowed. Not even the siren's call of a juicy snack. The beast within is stirring, a force to be reckoned with, its eyes glowing like embers in the dark. Jai was surveying the landscape, searching for the next challenge, his eyes scanning the horizon like a hawk on the hunt. The silence is deafening, a heavy, oppressive silence that threatens to suffocate, like a python squeezing its prey.
The darkness is stirring, a monstrous force that's about to unleash its fury, like a tornado ripping through a small town. Caden's on the cutting edge, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, his mind racing like a formula car on a straightaway.
A desperate cry for help, a plea to be set free from the horror, like a shipwrecked sailor clinging to a piece of flotsam. A bargain is struck, a Faustian deal that will change the course of history, like a deal with the devil himself. The air is electric, charged with anticipation, like a live wire sparking with electricity. A sigh of relief, a moment of triumph in the face of overwhelming odds, like a climber reaching the summit of Mount Everest. A code of chaos, a series of numbers that spell disaster, like a countdown to a nuclear meltdown. The darkness closes in, a suffocating, crushing weight, like a tombstone slammed shut on a coffin. The silence is oppressive, a heavy, palpable presence, like a shroud cast over a city. A warning sign, a beacon of doom that's about to unleash its fury, like a flare warning of an impending storm. The company is good, but the journey is treacherous. Be careful what you wish for, like navigating a minefield. A reprimand, a stern warning that's about to unleash a maelstrom of chaos, like a parent scolding a misbehaving child. The calm before the storm, a moment of quiet before the chaos erupts, like the stillness before a tornado. Caden's eyes flicker open, but his mind is trapped in a nightmare world where good grades and behavior reign supreme. A desperate attempt to escape responsibility is etched on his face, a mask of exhaustion that hides the abyss within. The phone screams to life, a piercing shriek that shatters the tranquility, but Caden's oblivious to the chaos. A concerned student, Anna, dares to approach the enigmatic figure, her hand reaching out like a lifeline to a drowning man. The phone continues to ring, a relentless drumbeat that refuses to be silenced. a call that screams for attention like a siren in the night. The door bursts open, a tidal wave of energy that crashes into the room. But Caden remains lost in his dreams, oblivious to the storm. Caden's guardian angel, Anna, waits patiently, but will he muster the energy to care? Has the food he left behind been scorned, left to rot in the abyss? The other cat stirs. Its slow and deliberate movement belies a fierce and formidable presence, a predator waiting to pounce. The phone screams again, a shrill shriek that pierces the air. But Anna remains unresponsive, frozen in shock. The backpack tips over, unleashing a torrent of chaos, a maelstrom of confusion that threatens to engulf everything in its path. The room falls silent, a stunned silence that hangs in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down to the sleeping giant. Anna's eyes widen in horror, a look of shock that freezes her in place, a statue of disgust that cannot be ignored. The cat watches, its piercing gaze sees right through the veil of deception, a knowing glint that suggests a deeper understanding. Anna's voice cracks through the air, a harsh command that shatters the spell, a burst of energy that shatters the calm. A shout rings out, a careless abandon that defies the conventions of sanity, a reckless disregard for the norms that govern our world. Anna's eyes narrow, a look of determination that sets her jaw, a resolve to take action that cannot be denied. The room falls silent, a stunned silence that hangs in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down to the sleeping giant. Anna's eyes light up, a spark of excitement that sets her aflame, a fire that cannot be contained. A shout rings out, a harsh command that shatters the spell, a burst of energy that shatters the calm. Anna dodges the attack, a swift and deadly movement that leaves her opponent reeling, a force that cannot be denied. This little scamp refuses to back down, dodging and bobbing with an infuriating agility that leaves his foe stumbling to keep up. What's the deal with these kids? Are they fighting? The whispers grow louder, a cacophony of confusion and curiosity. The street cat feeder's secret is out, revealed in a shocking twist that leaves onlookers stunned. The cat feeder's foes begin to falter, their momentum shattered by the cat feeder's sudden surge of strength. The air is electric with anticipation as the cat feeder's next move hangs in the balance. The cat feeder's in trouble, the teacher's questions and the suspicious bag of pet food raising eyebrows. The cat feeder's gone, but the tension lingers, a palpable presence that refuses to dissipate. A sound sends shivers down the spine, a mysterious utterance that's both unnerving and intriguing. Hi guys! The cat feeder's oblivious to the chaos, a blissful ignorance that's both endearing and amusing. Is Caden upstairs? The cat feeder's not giving up yet, a determined spirit that refuses to yield.
The storm rages on. Caden, your name is a whispered fear among the shadows. Burst forth you must, and unleash the tempest within. Are you ready to unleash the chaos? Caden? The silence before the storm is shattered, and the air is electric with anticipation. Caden, the very fabric of reality trembles at the mention of your name. The threads of fate begin to unravel, and the abyss yawns wide, sensing the impending doom. Step by step, the darkness closes in, a suffocating shroud of despair that threatens to consume all in its path.
A feline mew echoes through the desolate landscape, a haunting reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there is still a spark of life to be extinguished. The winds howl, a mournful dirge that signals the approaching storm. The time for calm is at an end, Caden. Clench your fists, Caden, for the battle ahead will require all your strength. The war drums beat out a rhythm of war, and the enemy is drawing near. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife.
They handed him the keys to the ultimate showdown. On the day the system he trusted detonated in a catastrophic blast of power and betrayal. The boy's eyes snapped open to an abyss of shattered expectations. A whispered promise turned to a cacophony of violence and chaos.
He breathed. The world died. Everything he ever knew was replaced by a cold, biting silence. Pure fury. The air itself scorched with his every move. A war cry echoed through the empty streets. The boy's dominance was absolute. Rivals trembled at the mere mention of his name. A new player entered the arena, ready to shatter the status quo. He lunged forward, his movements a blur of speed and precision. The crowd held its collective breath as he unleashed a devastating combination. A single, crushing blow left his opponent reeling. The boy's eyes narrowed, his focus absolute.
He sensed a hidden threat lurking in the shadows. A gentle breeze turned to a raging tempest as he unleashed a ferocious counterattack. The sound of crunching bone and shattering steel filled the air.
A whispered warning turned to a deafening roar as the boy's power surged. The landscape was forever changed by the sheer force of his will. A fragile alliance crumbled beneath the weight of his unyielding ambition. He stood at the precipice, ready to unleash a maelstrom of destruction. The fate of the world hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of chaos. A single misstep would plunge everything into an abyss of utter despair. The boy's lips curled into a fierce grin. He took a step forward, his eyes blazing with an inner fire. The very fabric of reality seemed to tremble at his approach. A fragile peace was shattered by the sound of his footsteps. He lunged forward, his movements a fluid dance of death and destruction. A whispered promise turned to a deafening scream as the boy's power reached new heights. The landscape was scorched and blackened by the sheer intensity of his will. A single, crushing blow left his opponent lying in a heap of shattered dreams. The boy's eyes flashed with a fierce, unyielding determination. Shattered tranquility. The delicate glass of peace lies in shards at his feet. Don't you think he's hiding something? Silence screams louder than any cacophony. His eyes, once feral, now conceal a secret, a mystery that gnaws at his soul. He's not calm. He's drowning in a sea of shock.
A maelstrom brews within, a tempest of emotions that threatens to unleash its fury at any moment. The storm rages, a constant reminder of the turmoil that lies beneath. His facade crumbles, exposing the abyss that yawns open, a chasm of darkness that teeters on the edge of collapse.
I know you've taken a glance at him, but I want the vet to take a closer look too. You can come with if you want, just to ensure nothing catastrophic happens.
What? You want me to come with? Yes, please. The words are a desperate plea, a cry for help in the darkness, a beacon of hope in a world that's lost its way. Asterisk.
I'll give you treats. The offer is a desperate attempt to buy his loyalty, to keep him by your side, a pitiful attempt to hold on to something that's slipping away. The air is charged with electricity, a living, breathing thing that crackles with energy, a spark that's waiting to ignite. The tension is almost unbearable, a physical force that threatens to burst forth at any moment, a pressure cooker that's about to explode.
The silence is a dark, foreboding thing, a reminder that sometimes the quietest moments are the most treacherous, a minefield of unspoken words and hidden dangers.
The world is a beautiful, cruel place, full of wonder and terror, a delicate balance between light and darkness. Mr. Caden, isn't this cool night perfect for a walk? Isn't it nice?
Jaiwu Seo? The name is a whispered question, a gentle inquiry that speaks of curiosity and wonder, a moment of pure innocence that's about to be shattered.
The world is a battleground, a war zone where the strong survive and the weak are crushed, a place where only the fittest will survive. That cat. It's... In a shocking twist, Jaiwa's world is turned upside down as trackers close in on his tail. The cat's out of the bag, and Jaiwa's face contorts in a mixture of fear and desperation. Enter Dr. Kim, a man with a kind face and a sharp mind, who's been called in to unravel the mystery. Jaiwa's problem runs deeper than just the trackers. He's got a wounded animal on his hands, its pain a palpable force in the air. Dr. Bring it in, Jaiwu urges, his voice laced with urgency. We need to act fast, or it'll be too late. Dr. Kim's hands move with precision as he examines the animal, his touch a soothing balm in the midst of chaos. Relief washes over Dr. Dr. Kim's verdict is devastating. The animal needs to lose weight, and fast, or it'll be a death sentence. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Dr. Kim's words drop like a bombshell, blowing the whole case wide open. Dr. Kim's face is a picture of shock, his eyes wide with the realization that he stumbled into something much bigger than he anticipated. Dr. Kim whispers, his voice barely audible over the chaos. Dr. Kim's words cut to the heart of the matter. It's not just the animals. It's the people too. People who are abandoning them to a life of neglect. Dr. Kim's story is a chilling tale of abuse. One that'll leave you breathless and horrified. Abused, Dr. It's not just the visible wounds, Dr. Kim says, his voice laced with a sense of foreboding. It's the other problems, the ones that are hidden beneath the surface. Jaiwa's eyes narrow, his voice laced with concern. What other problems? Dr. Kim's voice barely rises above a whisper. Jaiwa's mind reels as he processes the information. Equipment? What are you talking about? Dr. Kim's words are laced with emotion. Drug addiction, Jaiwu. These animals have been suffering from it, and it's a tragedy. Jaiwa's voice is barely above a whisper. Creak. Dr. Kim's words are laced with concern. WWN. Jaiwa's voice explodes with adrenaline. Clank. Warren. Dr. Kim's eyes narrow, his voice laced with suspicion. Where were you? Jaiwa's alibi is shaky at best. I was, cleaning up the animal carcasses. Dr. Kim's sarcasm is biting. Cleaning up the carcasses? That's not what I call a good alibi. Dr. Kim's warning is ominous. Crimson chaos erupts as the battle rages on. Renzoku throws every ounce of his being into this fight, driven by an unrelenting fury. His rage is palpable, an uncontainable force that threatens to detonate at any moment. He's on the cusp of absolute dominance, his skills honed to a razor-sharp edge. But on the receiving end, the enigma that is Kim Hwan lies waiting, unfazed.